Okay, great. We're back on. So for those of you listening via YouTube, we just approved the first round of applications under HARB that you see on your agenda. All right, next. Approved the first round of applications under HARB that you see on your agenda. All right, next. First round of applications under HARB that you see on. Mary Ellen, do you have YouTube on?
I do.
Can you mute it, or would you? Well, is there a way for you to hear it, or turn off your microphone unless you're talking? Because I just heard the recording of what I was saying, and then it will get recorded in this endless loop. Well, does that work for you? Okay. All right. All right, let's head on to the next section.
I would like to make a motion to follow the recommendation of the Historic Architectural Review Board and deny the following certificate of appropriateness as presented. COA 2023-005, a residence at 2 Barclay Court. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of all 21 exterior windows. HARB recommended to deny the use of fiberglass windows as presented, with a recommendation for the use of aluminum-clad wood windows with simulated divided lights, exterior casings of AZEK or Boral, and 2-inch architectural sills. The recommendation being made with consideration for the age of the structure.
Second.
So if you'll remember, this is the one that we tabled last month because the applicant assured us that their neighbor had been given permission from HARB to use the same windows and was supposed to come in and give proof of that. That didn't happen. So it's still up to be denied.
Or it can be approved under HARB's recommendation if the applicant wishes to do that.
If the applicant wishes to follow HARB's recommendation, it can be approved, but that's not where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. All right. Do we have any comment or question from council? Is the applicant here? Would you like to come up to the podium? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Harold. I reside at 2 Barclay Court. I moved into that property on December 1st of last year. And as you might remember, I was here in March at the meeting. The windows I want to install were recommended to me by the HOA president at the time. He stated that other residents have installed these windows. I submitted a request to the HOA and received an approval. This also included an approval from the HOA Architectural Committee. If you'd like, I can read the approval I got on my cell phone, which I will do. I don't know if I can find it. Never fails. Sorry about this. I had it up. It's another senior thing. Here we go. Here we go. here we go. Dear Bill and Kathy, the Architectural Committee has received a request to replace your current windows with exact matches to the using Marvin Infinity double-hung 6-panel windows in the Sierra color. Your request is approved pursuant to the updated rules and regulations date February 2020. Any other changes to the exterior of the home must be submitted in advance for approval before the work can be done. Thank you for working with the HOA on this matter. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Tim or myself. That was Rod Cavan, President HOA of Barclay Court. After receiving the approval sent me emails recommended, several of my neighbors sent me emails recommended GHI for purchase and installation of the windows. GHI is Global Home Improvements. I appreciated that, and I did. I contacted Global Home Improvements for the building of the windows and for the installation. But after that, my problem started with Harb. They turned down the windows. They told me they only make recommendations and I would have to appear at the March board meeting, which I did. The board put it on hold until the April meeting. They suggested I work with Judy Musto, who was extremely helpful, and I really appreciated her help, which I did. She suggested I send an email to Anna Gindhart saying I did not need to go through Harb because the windows are not visible from State Street or Barclay Street. I contacted Anna Gindhart, and Anna contacted Harb, and Jim McAuliffe of Harb said they are visible. If I can, I'd like to bring up pictures. This is the layout of the street. I don't know if you're, oh, hold on, I got more. Okay, thank you. If you look, on State Street, the very first one coming up, that is a photo of Barclay Court looking straight up State Street. I'm sorry, I only have one of each. The next photo I moved.
You can see the color, is a color match. So we moved, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is, number 2 is my house, number 1 is the one that faces State Street. Once again, you can see the windows, but barely. And I was told that because I was not facing either State or Barclay Street, I did not have to go through Harb, but I didn't know it at the time, and I did go through Harb.
Who told you that?
Other neighbors. They said if it's not visible.
Yeah, the rule is if it's visible from the street, then we do.
And that is from Barclay Street.
Barclay, the main street, not the.
Yeah, not Barclay Court, Barclay, the main street. These are the windows I want to have installed. These are the windows that currently are in my house.
But they're not in kind, they're not the same windows.
Oh, no. They can't be the same windows. The other ones are 30-something years old.
But the manufacturer does not make, the manufacturer does not make the same window that you can replace it, what's called in kind, as in the same window.
Same material,
Same,
same
yeah.
everything.
Okay. I really do not want exterior wood windows because I don't want to be painting windows every 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so what you're saying is if the manufacturer made the same windows so that you could replace in kind, you don't want to do that because of the wood, right?
I don't want exterior wood, yes.
Okay.
But these windows that I showed you have been put into other houses on the street.
Has everybody seen all the pictures?
When I can take them down.
Get time to take them after, Mayor.
Sure. These are just photos of the view. after I got the approval.
Can I ask you a favor? Because this is personal. I'm sorry, the room is impersonal.
Yes.
But like Mary Ellen can't hear you. That's where the microphone is. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Okay, so Jim McCall of Harb said they are visible. Okay. Since my wife and I have moved to Newtown, we've enjoyed Newtown tremendously. We love taking walks into town. We love the restaurants and everything. The only thing that's been a pain in the butt is this process we're going through, needless to say. My neighbors have been extremely supportive. They wanted to come tonight. I told them they didn't need to do that. And that I believe the windows I want to put in look just like the windows that are in there now. My house is not a historic house. It was built in 1980. I know you want the house to look historic, and I agree with that 100%. I want the house to look like the other houses on the street. I guess that's it. Now, I'd like to introduce one of my neighbors who have come with me, would like to say a few words. She's the HOA president of Barclay Court, and her name is Kim Cummings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kim Cummings, currently the president of Barclay Court, and just want to start out with that, you know, the architectural integrity of the 12 homes that are in our court, as well as being part of the borough, is very important to us. The windows, the Marvin Infinity windows, I can tell you I have the Marvin original windows, and Marvin is the only one that makes the 9-pane. Bill and Kathy have 12 windows that need to be replaced. There's a couple homes within our court already that have done the replacement windows. They are composite, they are wood composite, so they are not 100% wood like the older windows from the 1985 homes that were built. But as you can see from those pictures, their home in number 2 has the original windows, and they were not upkept, and they're not efficient. So from an architectural design, they are exactly the same as the original windows from the 1985. It's just that it's composite wood and not 100% wood. So I'm just trying to understand why, and they're number 2, so they're not right on the main street. You can see their windows if you look, but you can never see if they are wood or if they're vinyl or composite. So what do you recommend? What is the, is?
I do just want to point one thing out, because I think there's a little bit of confusion. Harb's recommendation is not that that use 100% wood windows. Their recommendation is aluminum clad windows, wood windows, and that's based on the fact that it was built in the 80s and it's not, you know, a 150-year-old home. So that is what is historically appropriate for that house within the historic district. So it's not, Harb's not saying you need to have 100% wood windows. They're recommending aluminum clad wood windows.
Okay, which they are, it's a composite, so it's wood and aluminum. That is what it is. I mean, it's the newer technology, the newer efficient windows. These last up to 50 years, and it's.
The application was for fiberglass windows, though. That's where there's, the application that Harb got and reviewed was for fiberglass windows. It's not the same thing.
Okay, but the Marvin integrity, okay, so so what you're saying is if he supplies with that it's the Marvin Infinity and what they're made of, then that will be different. I mean, because that's really what they are.
He would have to go back to Harb with the window with that window, not the fiberglass.
Okay, well, okay, because it is a composite. It is a composite window, so, okay. So you're recommending a fiberglass window?
No, that's what the applicant presented when they came to Harb.
Okay.
Harb is recommending aluminum-clad wood windows with simulated divided lights, exterior casings of AZEK or Boral, and 2-inch architectural sills.
And that's exactly what you would be replicating. So, okay, I apologize, we'll have to see, because that's exactly what it would be. So I guess it's the application that needs to get resubmitted with the appropriate description then.
One thing that I want to just make sure is sort of a general takeaway, because I appreciate the extra work that you do and things like showing up here and everything you put into maintaining Barclay Court, which is a beautiful, beautiful development. But it's also important to know that because it's in the Harb district, and that's why we have to go through all these steps. Usually it's not this complicated. It's not, the HOA is not the sole approver for anything that can be seen from the street, even if you see it a little bit. And it's important for residents to know that they have to go to Harb and they can't just get the HOA approval. And maybe you already have that and, it wasn't clear, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we have other HOAs in the historic district and they can't get just HOA approval, they have to come and get Harb approval. So I just wanted to convey that.
No, and I appreciate that. And I mean, I'm newly elected in January and newer to the development, so I'll make sure with the architectural committee that, and some of them have been there for 20-plus years, but I'll definitely bring that forward and make sure that we're in alignment with what HARP requires so that we, adhere to that.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm happy to send you the Harb ordinance if you want to take a look at it. The Harb, it doesn't just decide based on, I like this or I don't like this, but they follow the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic districts and historic properties. So there's very specific things that they turn to. Okay. And certain materials that are allowed, not allowed, certain processes that are recommended. So they follow that. Okay. And yes, it's from the 80s, which is why, as Emily said, we're not saying, we really want you to replace it in kind with wood just the way it was in 1880. But it still has to follow the Secretary of the Interior standards. So that's why it was, the initial application for the fiberglass was denied.
Okay. No, that's fair and that's informative and thank you. So Emily, what you stated, is that in a paper somewhere so that I know exactly to make sure?
Yeah, it's on tonight's agenda. There's a printed copy right outside this door, and it's in the meeting minutes for last month's Harb meeting, which should be on the borough calendar, right, Judy? Okay. Once they're approved. Okay, so they'll be on the, so yeah, but right outside that door.
Perfect. I'll get on the way out. All right. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Can I just ask a quick question? So Emily, if the gentleman decided to just go with what Harb had recommended, do they have to go back to Harb, or can they just provide the specs to Harb?
I think they do.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm sure that we can dismiss the 30-day waiting period and get him on April's agenda.
Yeah, because
If
he just says, I want to do what Harb recommended.
Yeah, so if tomorrow you get in touch with the zoning office that you want to come back to Harb, tell them that council said you can be on the April agenda.
Okay.
And so we can get it done for you.
All right, good. All right, thank you. Because they're on order and they're coming in, so.
No, they're not on order. I own them.
Oh, you're.
I've already paid for these windows. I have these windows. I've got $27,000 worth of windows, and you're telling me I'm going to throw them away.
But you're ordering ahead. I mean, we have people come in, I did it, I'm sorry, I did it, and sometimes we let it slide if it's really
No, I don't want you.
it's,
But I just want you to
tough, like,
understand
you're-
where I'm coming from.
yeah.
The HOA told me to get these windows. Other people on the street have these windows. I thought this was a formality. If I was told to get them, the people on the street have them, I ordered them, I paid for them, and now I got them, and I'm going to have to throw them away, is what you're...
No, you don't, because they are the right windows. We'll have to look at the application and to see how it went in, because they are the architectural.
Because that's my problem. If I could just change the window, I would do that now, but I already paid for them, so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the table.
by formality, we will deny this application, and then he'll have a new one for Harb. Is that, okay.
The only thing that you have in front of you is for the fiberglass windows, which Harb is recommending denial.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further comment? Any other public comment?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah?
Can I ask a question? Mike? Hello? Should I abstain since I didn't see the photos?
No, you don't have to abstain because you didn't see the photos.
Okay.
I can tell you that the photos show that you can see the windows from State Street, but you don't see them flat on in entirety. They're from the side.
Well, while the trees are in bloom.
Oh, true, yes. And there was also a drawing that shows that number 2 is set back slightly because it's not one flat row. So 1 is out a little bit and 2 is set back slightly.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of denying?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Mayor?
So we have a request. I'm looking for a motion to approve the Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 29th, sponsored by the American Legion, 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And it's along a designated parade route, and there is no rain date.
I'll make a motion to approve the Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 29th, 2023, sponsored by the American Legion Morel Smith Post 440, from 9 to 11:30 a.m. along the designated parade route and at Borough Hall. No rain date.
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion passes.
Thank you. Just a couple special event reminders. Arbor Day celebration at Brian S. Gregg Park on Friday, this Friday, April 14th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., sponsored by the Newtown Borough Recreation Board. Rain date is April 21st. We also have a 5K and family fun run benefiting the Have a Heart Foundation on Sunday, April 30th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., sponsored by the Newtown Athletic Club on a designated race route, rain or shine. That's all that I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Chief?
Good evening, Council, Mayor, guest. The Police Department during the month of March handled a total of 148 calls for service. We had 4 traffic accidents, none of which involved major injury. Our number one crime problem continues to be fraud cases. Number that we had this particular month, counterfeit checks were used to withdraw $9,000 from a Newtown business account. Couple different calls people received from individuals claiming to be from the Customs and Border Patrol. One person did not fall for it. Another person unfortunately did. Philadelphia area resident was visiting the borough, received one of these calls from the Border Patrol, and then went and withdrew $2,000 worth of cash, converted it into a Bitcoin machine over on State Street. Really difficult when that happens to ever track back any of that money. Some person was smart enough not to get caught in that particular trap.
Wait, we have a Bitcoin machine?
Yes.
Learn something new every day.
Don't go taking cash out of any of your checking
I
account.
won't, I promise.
Yes, it's on State Street at the vape shop. Yeah. We were successful in arresting a 56-year-old man from McKeesport for defrauding a business of $42,000. So that is pending court. We are down one officer. Officer Christian Brown took a position with the Warwick Township Police Department. We wish him luck in his future success as a police officer. We participated in Newtown Shamrock Shuffle during the 5K run. We also had a couple of truck details. Upcoming events that we have, in addition to what the mayor stated, we do have the Arbor Day, the NAC 5K Run, Memorial Day Parade. We also have our drug take back, which I announced last month as well. That'll be on April 22nd at the Firehouse. That'll be a drive-up event. We do take sharps there, and we also distribute Narcan for anyone who wishes to get it at that particular time. Another upcoming event, we have pedestrian safety blitz, which will take part in May. Once again, we'll be sending decoy officers crossing the street in the crosswalks and seeing if anyone fails to yield to them. We assisted with the middle school evacuation drill. And as far as we're still trying to get our speed boards up. I requested a quote from Armor and Sons Electric to get the price for them to install the 2 12-foot pedestrian poles is the way they refer to them. So I'm waiting for that quote to come back. If anyone has any questions?
Where would those poles be installed?
We're looking for one on State Street entering the borough near Kenderdines, and the other one entering the borough near Elm on Washington.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief. All right, we have some motions forwarded from last week, and I'll also add the amended motion to the end for the opioid settlement opt-in. So first, we discussed closing Borough Hall on Monday, July 3rd, due to the holiday weekend.
I'd like to make a motion to close Borough Hall on Monday, July 3rd, 2023, due to the holiday weekend.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Sorry, Malin, it takes a sec there for yours to come through, so I got to wait on my nays. Okay, next, we have the annual request from Bucks County Board of Health to offer protection against the West Nile virus by participating in their annual mosquito habitat reduction efforts. The EAC had reviewed it. Amy, do you want to talk about their what their recommendation was? And then I can pick up with some inquiries that I made and some information that I gathered.
Sure. The recommendation is that if a larvicide must be used, it be one that is targeted to mosquitoes and is not harmful to the general insect population, such as BTI.
Okay, thank you. So, because the EAC had recommended using BTI, I wanted to make sure that this worked with what the Board of Health does, and I didn't want to end up in a situation where we sent them a letter, then they said, wait, now we can't do X because of Y. So I wanted to get any feedback from them on it. And I also had a conversation with Julia Waldorf, chair of the EAC, to get a sense of their rationale. And she explained that it was what you said there, and that they had done some research and the BTI looked safe. So when I spoke to the County Board of Health, it was explained to me that BTI is the active ingredient in most of them, of their larvicides. So these aren't herbicides or pesticides, they're larvicides. And it works via a spore, a bacillus that goes into the gut. And the other one is called BS, Bacillus sphaericus, and that it works in a similar way. And it's also known to be safe for other insects and animals in the waterways. So he also explained that the one larvicide they have that has only BTI, it's called four-star BTI CRG, that is much more expensive because the way it's made is it lasts for about 2 months. So they only use it in, it's like a hard-to-reach area that they will put it in, get back there, and then not come back to it for 2 months again to check, versus areas that are more accessible. And because they operate, everything is on grants, everything is funded by grants, and they only have so much of it that they can use. That's how they tend to use it. So both are fine without their aquatic organisms. And he also noted, which I think we have in our information, that they do everything they can first. So if Old Skunky, say, has some standing water and they're routinely tracking the mosquitoes, which will also give them permission to do, and they see that there is an occurrence of West Nile virus, they'll try to remove the water, to clean it up that way, and without using any materials other than just digging, say. But if the West Nile virus occurrence continues, then they would only at that point use the larvicide. I don't know, donuts, I guess they are. And so in talking with Julia and talking with Amy, it seems that we don't want to back into a corner where we say only BTI can be used when the BS is shown to be also safe, and it gives them some flexibility. And the reason for their recommendation for the BTI was exactly as Emily described, which is we want to make sure that it targets the mosquitoes and is not harmful to any of the non-targeted. Amyl, yes, populations. So I know that may be too much information for everybody. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I guess my question is, if we vote to approve this, the signing of the letter to authorize them, then we are still, what's the word? Honoring what the EAC would like.
I think it would be good if we added a sentence in
About the BTI. Or
and about the targeted population, because that's saying that even if the Board of Health thinks inside their own head, well, we do this anyway, it lets them know that this is important to us and this is what we're authorizing, and we're not authorizing things that are not. And he also did note that any spraying, which as we learned last year is only done at night so they don't impact bees and is done low, is only done if the West Nile virus reaches a very specific high threshold. Even if the West Nile virus occurs, they don't necessarily spray it. So, so yeah, we can put an extra sentence into the letter, and that would make it clear to the Board of Health that, yes, we're good with the program of monitoring and so on, but we want to be assured of what type of larvicide is used.
Can I read the motion with the addition of the wishes that it be targeted? I'd like to make a motion to approve the signing of a letter by the council president authorizing the Bucks County Board of Health to offer protection against the West Nile virus by participating in its annual mosquito habitat reduction efforts, with the addition of a statement indicating that if a larvicide must be used, the borough wishes it to be one that is targeted to mosquitoes and is not harmful to the general insect population.
Second.
Do we have any further questions or comments from council? Any public comment? Mary Ellen, do you have any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Does
Amy put her finger up. She has a question.
BTI does not need to be in that statement, correct? Because we're not eliminating, it's a, such as
Yeah,
BTI,
no,
but that doesn't need to be.
I that was a nod to the EAC, but it does not have to be because it defines what they were looking for.
I was just going to give this to Judy after this so she doesn't have to try to get all those words.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. And if we can strike that if you wish. Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Okay, before you go to the next one, I think this should be 3 windows. We need to ask Dave about that. He's here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. I don't have a Michigan person. Yes, it was originally 2 windows,
Are we doing 3?
and based on cost.
Yes,
And now it's 3.
I think so.
Okay, you can do 3 and still stay under. Because when you and I talked, we were thinking 2.
Yeah, it all depends on the cladding situation that we're talking about. Just like last person, it's either wood windows
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Please identify yourself.
My name is David Zerby, thank you. It's all going to come down to the clad situation or the wood windows that we were talking about over the phone. There's a price difference for sure, and that might come into that third window. That's a smaller window that's up at the eave. If that can fit into that, we got to really dial in what the windows are to see really what it comes down to the price quote. Just of the windows alone. I mean, it matters. So we just got to, narrow that down.
And you've gathered, which I said to you, but you've gathered from the earlier conversation that we definitely need to go to HARB before any windows are purchased.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the same windows in there are the wood windows. I'm sure they would approve that, or wouldn't be a big deal. But it's just all that work of oil prime, paint, and then the cladded stuff that they come out with now is pretty good.
Well, that's one of the decisions council will need to make is what do we want to apply for when we go to HARB for the windows. Right now they're wood, but the house is, the garage is, and I don't recall off the top of my head, and nor did I check before coming here, but I believe it's from the 90s. It could be 80s, but
I think so.
I think 90s.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a historic building, but obviously it's deep in the historic district. But council needs to decide, do we want to apply to make it aluminum clad and for the replacements, or do we want to have it be wood and have it be painted regularly?
My recommendation is that we approve expenditures up to the budgeted amount. And then this is an authorization to proceed. And then we will go to review what the price quotes are. If necessary, go back to HARB. But at least this gets us past the authorization stage and in effect an appropriation stage. And then we'll get to the fine details and comply with the ordinance.
But that could end up with a waiting period for Mr. Zerby because we have to decide what we want to apply for. Then we have to go to HARB, and then we have to get on the HARB waiting list.
But that's the windows, but we want to get started on the
Yes,
roof
correct.
immediately.
Yes, yes. But we can authorize the roof, but I would like some decision or thoughts. And if council feels that they can't talk about it now and want to think about it some, we can do that.
I mean, as long as HARB finds the aluminum clad wood windows appropriate, which I'm guessing they will based on the age of the building, I'm fine with that because it keeps maintenance costs down in the future.
That's exactly what it would do, would cut down on that a lot. In that side of the building, it just gets all the weather. You should still, the windows I send a picture of, they're gone, just because of not, being maintenanced, and they're wood. They've been on there for a while.
Over the weekend, Mr. Zerby and I inspected the building, inspected the roof, and then we went inside, and we did confirm it's a recent building, last 20-something years, 30 years, built on a concrete base, and so it's not rock or cinder blocks. It's a relatively new building. Our chief concern was whether there was damage in the interior roof structure, which would have required additional work. We conclude that that's not necessary, that it's in good shape, but because it's a cedar roof, deteriorating rapidly, we need to get that roof and the tin roof fixed immediately. And this is only an authorization to proceed with repair of the window, and we can come back on what we select. We don't have to decide that tonight, but let's get this authorization approved so we can move forward.
Mike, question for you. If council can say tonight, you know what, let's apply for the aluminum clad and get that ball rolling simultaneously to the roof. But say council's, when I'm saying council, like the majority of council's not ready to do that, can we just decide what we want to apply for outside of a meeting? And then we can submit the application to HARB, and then HARB would be the public venue for anybody, plus we'll apply to ourselves.
You certainly can, as long as all council is informed and is aware of what the decision is, and the decision is being made by the majority of council. You don't need to come back here to take a vote. You can send an application to HARB. It's easier to go ahead and do that with anyone who is aware of
So I have oh, go on, yeah.
Yeah. Is the roof repair and replacement, I'm guessing that's repairing and then replacing anything in kind, so that is not on the HARB table, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The tin roof is in pretty good shape. It just needs to be cleaned, prepped, and painted. And we recommend black because that's,
I strongly disagree.
you don't like black?
I will do you. All right, well, let's hit the color of the paint later.
Okay, but it's consistent with the shutters and all of the shutters and paintings on the Bird and Hand building.
Wait, we're on the windows. Let's, because I think council definitely agrees. that
Okay,
we'd like
back
go
to the
forward with
windows.
this in general, right?
So-
So,
Well, we're about to vote on it.
yes.
No, so all we need to do here, Mr. Zerby, is replace two
Yeah.
windows with three windows, because we're only gonna spend up to the authorized, correct?
So we can make the vote, we approve that. We can ask you for some information on the window costs, if that is helpful for council. I right now, walking into it, am in agreement with Emily on the materials. And council knows it can make this conversation outside of it. And by when do we need the color of the tin roof to you?
It's,
Like when you need to purchase?
you can get that off the shelf. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Right, okay. So, right now, we have the motion to repair and
No, we
replace,
don't.
but we have,
I'll make a
you
motion.
need the motion. Okay, and the 2 or 3 windows is gonna depend on what we pick, though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Can we just say replacement of windows?
Let's do that.
Can we get rid of the number?
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Ready? I move to approve repairs of the Patriots Park garage and accept the proposal from D.A. Zerby Building and Restorations, which include roof repair and replacement, if necessary, and replacement of windows at a cost not to exceed $12,000.
Second.
Do we have any further comments or questions from council on the motion? We have no other public with us. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Any nays? Motion passes. All right, so you've improved. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Zerby and I will coordinate moving forward and report back to council as promptly as we
All right,
can.
well, yeah, and
Because we have
budget,
to find out the cost of the windows.
street slicing properties will work with you, though.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just go with those, with the synergy product with the Marvin, just like HARB approved the other one. It would be the same thing. So we'll just price it out with that style window as well. The cladded stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
But even though, we'll still have to go through the motions of the application and going.
100%, just money-wise.
That, we know that, and it has the same number of panes, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything will be,
The 6/6.
yep. Okay?
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
sounds good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve the purchase and installation of an ADA accessible swing and supporting structure at Brian S. Gregg Memorial Park at a cost not to exceed $12,200.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? No? I have no public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Okay, so last, everyone will have received today, and Mary Ellen, I emailed it to you. Did you receive it? The opioid settlement? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So that is the summary of, the overview of the settlement between multiple parties and the government, and related to the opioid epidemic. So municipalities are able to take part in the settlement if they opt in. We wouldn't receive much, as the solicitor said earlier. It would, but it might help us buy some Narcan for the police department. So we just have to opt in. I'm going to pass it over to Mike for a general description.
This is the second round of opioid settlements, the national opioid cases, which are being brought by various attorney generals from around the country. This is basically going after the manufacturers of opioids, and essentially the basis of the suit is that because of the reckless or And the first opt-in was done during the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. There's no cost to the borough. There's nothing the borough needs to do other than opting in and then authorizing Tara to execute the documents. And when the cases are settled, there is a potential for a distribution to the borough based on any costs that we may. What we're being told is the money that will come back will not actually need to be a dollar for dollar. We'll have to prove like every man hour that was spent on an opioid issue or every dose of Narcan that was issued. But it will be in somewhat in relation to what it cost the municipality. And again, because we just got this information within the last week asking to opt in. I don't think a lot of these people understand the way municipalities work, that we have a meeting schedule. We got all of this last week, and then as we're discussing it with the county and then with the Attorney General, we were told the opt-in deadline is the 18th of April, so that's why we had to add it tonight.
Right. We'll also need a motion that is appropriate, because right now what I put on the amended agenda was the topic. But would you please give us a motion?
This would be a motion to opt into the opioid round 2 settlements and to authorize council president to execute the necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any further questions or comments?
We've received a summary of this plan from council, which I'd like to enter into the record and have the secretary included in the minutes. Ms. Musto, okay? Okay.
All right. Mary Ellen, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
No. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, Mary Ellen?
Hi. I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Judith Ritter to the Historic Architectural Review Board for the remainder of a 3-year term through December 31st, 2025.
Second.
All right, do we have any questions or comments?
Just that she, in addition to her application, also wrote to the Chair of HARB expressing her interest and her background. She is very, very well set up to be a great member of HARB.
Great. That sounds terrific. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
The remaining vacancies on committees, commissions, and boards includes 1 member for the Environmental Advisory Council, 1 for the Joint Historic Commission, 1 for Recreation Board, 1 for Shade Tree, 1 for Zoning Hearing Board, 1 alternate, for Zoning Hearing Board, Parking and Signs Ad Hoc Committee, and 2 members for the Walk-Friendly Newtown Standing Committee.
All right, thank you, Emily. I'm sorry, Lord. Thank you, Mary Ellen, and
Feels special.
yeah, I know. And thank you for getting Ms. Ritter on, and you've been filling the spots, so appreciate it. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the March 8th, 2023 work session minutes.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And I'll move to approve the March 14th, 2023 council meeting minutes.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passes. Okay. Consolidated expenditure report?
I move to accept, subject to audit, the consolidated expenditure report for the month of March, totaling $189,639.41.
Second?
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, under old business, Bob, you had your mailer?
Yeah, I went to Minuteman, and similar to the postcard notice that the fire department just distributed, they have the capability of sending a postcard to every post office box, which would include residents and businesses within the borough. All we have to do is give them the text for the postcard, and they arrange for the mailing under a bulk rate, and that cost would be between $950 and $1,000. I recommend that we do this because this year, we're only doing a one sweep in our, as compared to a two sweep that Susan Turner had arranged, so that the cost would be probably below what we paid last year. But by moving the cars, especially on Liberty Street and the other congested streets, we would have a much better cleaning of the storm wells, and a report to the environmental authorities of the state. And so I would like to expend up to $1,000 to do a mailing to each post office box within the borough to make this more efficient.
I make one clarification. There are two sweeps, northeast, north-south, and two sweeps east-west. But what was done last year that Sue had recommended and council approved was to have the vacuum machine go around after the sweeps.
Right, I stand corrected.
All right, does council have any comment on your proposal?
Is there any difference between what would be on that mailer and what will be on the newsletter that goes out?
I don't have the text in front of me, but it would describe the days of the activity, the directions of north and south. So it'd be, I think it'd be a little bit more complete, and it would be directed and delivered to each home in a separate document to give them notice, so that it's not mixed in with a multiple-page mailer and the limited number of emails we have addressed on the borough's email system, which is only about 100 people out of the 17 or 1,800 mailboxes we have in the borough.
I have kind of a related question for Chief. Do we ticket people who don't move their cars?
And
To me, that would be more effective than a mailer.
to make it clear also, what us Scots people do is they go out with hand, and they'll hand blow or hand sweep anywhere where the cars were. So really what they don't get is if somebody's parked on the road throughout the sweeping process and when they do the hand cleaning, they can't get what's under the tires because it's stuck under the tires.
And we put the no parking signs on street, we do all that, right?
No, we don't.
No.
There are no,
Why
there are
don't we
no,
do that?
there's no signage of this activity in the borough.
I would much rather put up no parking signs than do a second mailer.
I would agree in the second mailer, because we're already sending a mailer, and that looks like a postcard when it comes, but it's thicker, and it will have everything written there on it. So we're already sending a mailer. I know we did look into the other year doing street signs, and Chief, I don't recall, but you had given us a rough estimate because of the time to put them up and down.
Would it be more than $1,000? Would it be more than $1,000? Considering our safety concerns, last weekend when I was maintaining my front lawn, people are coming up Penn Street the wrong way. So we really appreciate that your staff has been addressing the traffic issues, and having them put up signs, I think, is not an effective use. And this is a minimal cost in light of our overall budget for the year. And it really would clean the streets that we don't clean. Because every year during this process, I go out there and watch and inspect so I can give a list back to Scott as to what we have to come back and do. And we're just trying to eliminate the duplication. And last year, they forgot one street and they had to come back anyway. So having the residents know about this, educating them, I think is worth the expense.
But we already are sending a mailer. That's the only thing I don't quite get, is we're already doing it. So you're saying we should do it twice, send them a mailer twice?
The people I talked to as to why they were out there the night of the cleaning, sweeping the streets themselves, they never read the booklet. Even though it was on the
front. That
Even though it
means
was on the
if
front
they get
page.
a mailer, they're just gonna be like, oh, it's a postcard, and they're gonna throw it away. If they're not
me-
looking at the mailer, why would they look at that?
If we're gonna spend extra money on something, I would want to spend it on something that is different, like the signs. I'm not a fan of spending all that extra money on doing something twice.
Well, perhaps Scott could give us a quote under $1,000 to put up at least signs at the corners.
I'm not saying it's one or the other, it's one or both, one or the other for me. I'm not in favor of doing a second mailer. If Chief has already determined that doing the signs is not doable, that's okay, but I'm still not in favor of the mailer.
Right. Signs is doable. I think it was just gonna be expensive when we inquired a few years ago, but perhaps there's a way to do the signs intermittently or only occasionally that people might see. But there will be people who don't notice the signs either because it's not in front of their house.
I did just verify with the chief because I do remember when we were doing the signs on State Street, and we still do those.
Right. Because they don't get the mail, they don't necessarily know. Or they have people who come and go who aren't residents.
Correct. But what it also does, to some extent, right, is it creates the awareness for people that are driving through State Street, right, and living wherever in the borough that it's happening.
In the historic district surrounding State Street, we have a lot of parking by employees and other people who would never get the mailer. So from State Street, at least to Congress, we're going to have people who will never get that mailer. So hopefully, there's some other way to inform these people.
So
I just
every
want the streets clean.
every address in the borough will get the newsletter. They do get the newsletter.
That include the businesses on State Street.
Absolutely.
Every address. Mary Ellen, do you have any comments on this or no?
I like the idea of the street signs.
Okay,
Much
thanks.
better than another, sending something else through the mail. Like, again, if they're not reading the newsletter, they're not going to read a postcard. I agree with that theory.
Okay, so maybe we look into some, and we have the street signage on State Street.
Does the police department put that up, or does Scott put that up? Just, what if we put them just at the corners? At least try.
I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. John, I feel like you had an idea that was just putting sort of those, like the yard signs at the ends of blocks saying street sweeping tomorrow. Like, it doesn't have to be date specific, and they could be reused year and
We could buy them and keep them in the garage.
That was like last year. I mean, you could get a double-sided sign, and you could probably get 20 of them for less than $500. So if you did them on, and if you had Scott's put them out rather than an officer put them out and have him collect them, maybe he could store them, but.
20 for $500.
I just
the
know for the
wireframes.
9/11 event I do,
Well, you-
I get single-sided and it's $250 for 10 of them, so.
then they're used year after year. They can be stored in one place and brought out
and I-
whatever date it is for each.
Yeah, and I appreciate where Bob's coming from. To be honest with you, even the signs, I don't know if you could put fireworks, you're still gonna have people who are not gonna move their cars. They're just not. Not on purpose, they're just, most of these streets, as you get closer to State, are crowded. They don't have driveways. So you're asking them to get up in the middle of the night, remember, go and park their cars. It's just very difficult.
They know when they forget.
I've done it. I've had my car in the street and they're coming down the street and I'm running outside and, I mean, it's happened, so.
The elders on Penn Street, we remind each other the night before, so.
Yeah, I mean, if
We have
you-
nothing else to do.
Right. But, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know if the signs will make a difference. You could try it and see what happens. If you get improved, then great.
And people do notice those sort of ones. If they're out at the corner, they see them, they're bright colors. The letters are going to be bigger than a sign on a pole. So if you're driving by, you can see it.
I'll call Minuteman tomorrow and find out the price of those signs. Because I'm not sure if the postcards get printed on paper, so they have paper stock. I'm not sure how quickly we can get these, because we're going to do this in 2 weeks.
You can get them. I mean, I forgot the name of the folks, Sir Speedy, whoever in the township development there. 3 days they turned them around. So I'm sure same thing for Minutemen.
We're not putting fancy graphics on it.
And what we could do, John, is have them reversible and say, re-elect John for mayor. That
So
wasn't meant as a
these-
derogatory thing, it was complimentary.
So we have the street sweeping currently scheduled for middle of May. I believe it's the 17th and the 18th. But I agree with the comment made about not putting dates on them for a couple reasons. First of all, the dates will change every year, but also if we get crazy wet weather, those dates are going to change. So that's the other part of once you put something in print, it's same for the newsletter. I have a caveat written there that, check the borough website in case of changes to this schedule.
Thank you, Judy. All right. Sounds like we have a plan to investigate. Thank you all. Do we have any other old business?
Yes. I'm not sure if it's old or renewed. I think we have a birthday of our solicitor this month. So, so on behalf of my fellow council members, we wish our solicitor the happiest of birthdays. And also in the Polish tradition, we don't sing happy birthday because we can't carry a tune, but we do say 100 lat, which means may you celebrate 100 years. I'm out of announcements. Oh, no, I don't. I have another one. And this is for our high schoolers and their parents. The Bucks County Bar Association has a foundation which has several scholarships devoted to people who want to contribute to public service and community service. The deadline for these applications is April 21. You can get all the information on these two scholarships from the Bar Association. They have a webpage as well as, they're in the phone book. I don't have the phone number right here. But one is for a candidate attending a four-year liberal arts education program. And the other one is financial assistance for post-high school education in law and law-related fields. So that could be also for community colleges. And the Bar Association really works to contribute to the community, and this is just another way. And this is a good purpose because it's devoted to publics and community services. So thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. Any other announcements? I'll
I
entertain.
have an announcement.
Oh, yeah?
Sorry. I just wanted to let everybody know that PICO is partnering with the Arbor Day Foundation to provide customers with trees to plant strategically around their homes for environmental impact and energy savings. This year marks PICO's 10th anniversary as an energy-saving tree partner. PICO's program has provided 10,000 free trees to customers. By planting trees around your home, you can add to your property value, reduce your carbon footprint, improve our air quality, and more effectively catch stormwater runoff. If you are interested, you can. This information is posted on our website. You can also get more details at www.arborday.org/PICO.
That's great. Thanks, Mary Ellen. Any other announcements? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Happy birthday.
Bye, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm so glad you could join us.